Hello, and welcome to the most exciting part of the class, the syllabus for Computer Science 2561 NET001, Intro to C# Online. I'm Evan Wright, the instructor for this class. Let's walk through the syllabus and go over what we're going to cover and what I kind of expect you to know already and what the rest of the semester is going to look like. There's my contact info, my name. This email address, write.e761@cod.edu. You'll probably be using that a lot. I think email will be probably the most likely channel for us to communicate over the course of the semester. And sometimes I don't check my email every day, but usually I'm good about it. And if you write to me, I will usually get back to you often same day, usually within a few hours. It depends on my workload. But generally, I try to turn around emails real fast, especially if you're emailing me coding problems. This semester is all online. We all know that. It's not my favorite format by a long shot, but everything has been videoed and will be up in Blackboard. So there's no live component. You don't have to log in every Monday from 6 to 10. I kind of thought about doing that, but then it's like, okay, well, if you're going to do it, then might as well record it so other people can see it at different times. And if you're going to record it, just record it and put it up online. So that's kind of how everything is going to be. So normally I give presentations and then do demos. All of that is videoed and in Blackboard, and it'll sort of become available to you as the semester progresses. I'm very big on interactivity and kind of working on projects, in class with a mentor there to guide you through the problems. And unfortunately, like, the interactivity is not the same with online learning. But again, just email me. I'll look at your code. I'll mark it up. I'll make you a YouTube video that shows you how to fix something or how a better way to organize something. I'll post it to a private a link, and then you can watch it and get help that way. I did this last semester both for COD and at the high school level, and it worked out really well. So just because we're all online doesn't mean that I'm dumping everything up there and I'm just going to have it auto-graded or something. No, I really want to preserve that level of interactivity in the sense that you're really you're getting help from a real person who actually cares on the other end of the Cat5 cable or the Wi-Fi or whatever. So a little bit about me. I have been playing around with computers for a long time. That is me in this picture, the kid with the army jacket and the hair. This picture was taken so long ago, I actually was young and had hair. And you can see the date at the bottom is 1983. And that's when I was learning how to program a little computer called the Timex Sinclair 1000. Although we actually had ZX81s, which was the British version before they were built under license. We actually had the British kits, which makes them just that much cooler. In fact, I've been doing this computer stuff for so long that I tell my students that when I started, the wrapper 50 cent was actually only 25 cents. And then they say, please never tell that joke again. Here's just some of the many kind of homebrew projects that I've done over the years. I'm very active in what they now call retro development, which when I started out was just called development. I make cartridge games for old computers, and they are sometimes available. You can find them on eBay or online. I've done Palm Pilot development. I love the Palm Pilot. That's kind of what we had before the PDA. And I don't know, I just made an Atari game over the summer, and I just kind of like picking a platform and digging into it and just, seeing what fun can I have with it? What subversive creativity can I produce? What fun can I have, basically? I go to a lot of kind of retro enthusiast computer events. This is actually at the Apple II's 40th birthday party. Every year there's a big event down in Kansas City at a university, and people from all over the world show up and nerd out on the Apple II computer for about 5 days, almost a week. And it's really great. I'm in the back there holding up an Apple IIc over my head. I'm in the back of the Zero on the right side of that picture. So what's it like at one of these places? Well, it looks like this. You walk in and there's just stacks of computers up to your eyeballs. And, oh, you need some disks? Well, just go grab them off the pile. Need a computer? Yeah, sure, just take one. So I love hanging out at places like this, and I love just being immersed in that environment where people are fixing hardware and writing software and cracking disks and archiving manuals and figuring out how to integrate new stuff and old stuff. It's so much fun. It's what I live for. I'm actually from the East Coast originally. I'm from New Haven, Connecticut, And the last time I went back out east, I was up in Vermont, so I made a little side trip over to New Hampshire, where this roadside marker had just been put up. This is outside Dartmouth University, where the BASIC programming language was invented in the 1960s. So I actually used Google Street View to figure out where that was and track down the roadside. And there I am with my little Timex Sinclair 1000/ZX81. So, oh, and the t-shirt mech, that's Minnesota Educational Computing Consortium. That's the company that made Oregon Trail. Yeah, very, very, very famous game. So this is the kind of stuff I love to do. This is why I love computers, you know, for just fun, subversive creativity. My day job is at the Technology Center of DuPage in Addison. It's a vocational high school. Where students are bussed in from 20 or so other local high schools in the district to do specialized programs like nursing assistant, healthcare, residential wiring, video production, construction, auto body. And I run a program there called Computer Information Systems and Game Design. And we had to add and game design because computer information systems apparently scares people away. So you know, call it game design, and now I have a job for life. I teach these technologies over there. Unity is a 3D engine that uses C#. One more reason to learn C#. Game Maker Studio, Pico 8. I love that framework. It's a kind of a, it uses the Lua scripting language, and you can make kind of Game Boy-ish games for it. 3ds Max, some 3D modeling. I'm really not a very good 3D modeler, I'll be honest, but I know enough to get by. So I basically, it's what I teach is fundamentals of computer science, and I use games as the vehicle to make that fun. And we're going to do that in this class too, although there certainly is a business component to what we're going to do, because I do want to make sure that you leave the class with, you know, with skills that are going to be relevant to the workplace. So that's what I do during the day, is I program computers also. One of my big side project, aside from the little retro games, is a text adventure engine. I love those old games where you type "Go North," "Open Chest," "Kill Troll with Sword," and I developed an engine or an integrated development environment in Visual Studio using C# that allows you to make your own text adventure game, and then it will compile it, assemble it, and export it out as a disk image to any one of a number of ancient computers. And there's people actually who use this thing, and I get fan mail a lot, and I have a little small amount of international nerd fame for this system. And because, you know, now people can make their own games and run them on their favorite computer. And it's kind of just fun to empower people to make new stuff for their favorite old machine that they're kind of sentimentally attached to. So I use C# for all sorts of stuff, you know, in my adventures. Particularly for making tool sets to help me make games for other machines. Here's what my classroom looks like when we're actually in the adventure game unit. I've got a whole wall of floppy disks, which we export the games out to, and I've got a whole pile of old machines. I've got Radio Shack color computers and Apples, and I have an IBM. I got a whole lot of machines. So. And the whole deal is, on our Windows 10 machines, we use our C# application to make these games. We crank them out and we run them on the old hardware. And there's a certain experience to doing that, which you just don't get in emulators. All right, so that was kind of a tangent there. The syllabus, boring but important. So let's go over the course of the class, what it's going to look like, all the boilerplate stuff the college makes me say. Here are the stated learning objectives in the active course file from some universities' intranet. This I have no control over. I'm required to put this in our syllabus that this is what we are doing. So stuff like input and output and if statements, and okay, I think it's just, you know, it doesn't read quite right. So this is what we're supposed to do, and then in the next slide, few slides, I'll tell you what we're actually going to do, which I think you will agree is a lot more useful and a lot more fun too. So what we're really going to do is skim through the stuff that you already know how to do. So you've already taken C++, you've probably already had Java, C# is really just a clone of Java, and if you've had C++, you're already, you've already conquered the learning curve anyway. So we don't need to go back and beat if statements to death, and where to put curly braces, and how to write functions. What we do is really get used to using Visual Studio. I'm going to show you all the keyboard shortcuts, how to use the debugger, because when you're on the job, that's where you spend most of your time. We're going to do some GUI programming. We're going to use a lot of the collections that are built into the .NET framework. C# has a wonderful set of collections, lists, stacks, queues, all sorts of cool stuff that really just make it really almost a joy to program in. And as well as some more advanced topics as well. We're going to do database access. We'll do some web service stuff. And most of what we're going to, the actual exercises will be sort of game-like up until about halfway through the unit. And then we're going to switch into kind of more businessy, databasey stuff. So the idea is we want to build stuff visually, because then we can see that it works. And it's just a lot more enjoyable than like, let's sort a list of 100 numbers in ascending order and all that stuff. So I'm really interested in just kind of, okay, we're just going to build up programming fluency. We're going to learn to use Visual Studio really well. We're going to touch on the topics that show up a lot in job interviews and in the job boards, particularly LINQ. And we're going to just kind of view the language through that lens. Like, what do I really need to get out of C# in order to be able to sound reasonably coherent at a job interview or a phone screen? So as I previously said, and as you know from registering for this class, there's a prerequisite, right? So I just expect that people know how to make a variable, people know how to write a function, people know how to write an if statement, they know how to line up parentheses and curly braces, that we're not going to get stuck on that. Like if I said write a for loop, maybe you'd have to look up the syntax, but a for loop is like for I equals 0, I less than 100, I plus plus. You've kind of seen that before, and you've got that under your belt. You're not struggling with the basic syntax. What we're trying to do is take that basic syntax framework that we know and now apply that and leverage that to learn C#. So another thing that pops up usually once or twice a semester is someone shows up and say they open up their Mac, and I go, oh no. Yes, there is a version of Visual Studio for the Mac, but it does not support GUI applications. So this is a train wreck. All I could say is you either need to get a PC, find a PC, beg, borrow, steal a PC, because as far as I know, the university computer labs are closed. So Mac will not work. Sorry, there's no way. I looked into it recently, and it's not viable. We're going to start off real simple, making little programs that just help us get used to building GUIs, writing code, figuring out how a Visual Studio project is organized. We're just going to start real simple, and then we're just going to keep building on top of that until we get into more interesting things, right? So we'll make Simon. Simon is, everybody kind of knows how to play it, and there's some data structures under that. There's timers, there's events, there's collections, there's random number generation. So again, that we're using a simple game as a way to hit a lot of interesting programming topics. And Connect 4, this is one we had fun with last semester. We actually modeled the whole thing and then actually programmed it to have an AI so we could play against the game. We actually turned it into a one-player game with an AI behind it, and that's really fun. So again, a game like this, it's simple. Everybody knows how to play it, so we don't have to worry about the rules. And then we can just talk about, okay, we'll walk through, how do you make this in C#? What's the best way to do it? And so we're just going to we'll make games like this and build up our fluency that way. I don't know why I have this slide in here. Card shuffling? No. We'll make, but again, how do you sort cards? How do you manage collections of cards? That kind of thing. We're going to look at some problems and then use our C# object-oriented programming skills to tackle those. Here's a fun one, like terrain generation. How do you generate mountains like that? It actually turns out it's not hard using a recursive algorithm. So again, now we're talking about recursion and data structures, but if you can see it on the screen, then it looks cool. So it makes it easier to tell if your program's working or not. We'll do asteroids and Space Invaders. Now, people are like, why are we doing this? I don't want a job programming asteroids. I'm going to give you a library, right? And you're going to have to use that library and figure out how to extend that library to model the asteroids and the shots and the player. And when the shots are flying around, you're going to have to, or the game is running, you're going to have to say, okay, find me all the shots and then compare them to all the asteroids and tell me if they got hit, right? So now we're selecting objects out of collections, and that's where LINQ comes in. So you wouldn't think that this has really got any kind of data, any relationship to a database, but we're going to use some database-like technologies to get this working. So on the surface, it may not seem like, if you're really focused on, I want to be a full stack developer, I don't want to be messing around with these games. The games are just a way to practice and hone our C# skills in a way that kind of makes them a little bit fun to write, and then also you can immediately see whether it works or not. Space Invaders, again, it's like managing collections of objects, and then the collision detection, right? Okay, find me all the shots, find me all the invaders, match them up, tell me if there's, tell me about the collisions. So again, we're going to be using, you would not look at this and think of this, that there's a lot of business-like or logic in here that would be useful in a business context. There actually is. So that's kind of my philosophy for a lot of these activities. And then there will be things that do kind of look more business-like. So I've already mentioned that, in the previous two slides, the database LINQ stuff. I should have mentioned what LINQ is. LINQ is huge in the .NET world. If you look on Indeed.com, you search on C# jobs, I bet LINQ is in all of them. LINQ is a new technology for accessing objects that may be databases or collections in using the same framework and the same sort of syntax. So rather than having to know different languages for accessing data out of different structures, now you can treat them all the same. It very much streamlines the ability to access data from databases and collections and XML files. So it's very, very useful in the business world, and my text adventure uses it a lot. So it's definitely a good thing to have, and it's actually, once you get the hang of it, it's actually really fun. People seem to like it. And we're also going to talk about WPF, which is Windows Presentation Framework. All the GUIs that we're going to build up until the end of the class are going to use Windows Forms. Windows Forms is still supported. It is actually the easier of the two frameworks to use, but it is an older framework based on a 32-bit, the GDI framework. So it's kind of a legacy framework, and it's being slowly replaced by Windows Presentation Framework. Now, the downside is that everybody who uses Windows Presentation Framework seems to hate it. And I tried to start off the year last year with Windows Presentation Framework, and it was a total catastrophe. So I don't want to integrate Windows Presentation Framework into the entire curriculum yet. I think what we'll do is we'll walk through this using the tried and true WinForms, which everybody agrees is easy to use. And then we'll take some of those things that we did early in the year and we'll revisit them and say, okay, well, here, remember that thing we did on like class number 2 or 3? Let's go back and redo that using WPF, and we'll see what changes. So we'll get some WPF in there. WPF, I will say, is much more flexible, and it's used for sort of tablets and phones and kind of non-standard screens, whereas WinForms is from that era of the 1990s desktop application. So they're just designed to do different things, but we'll get to see both of them. You'll need to have Microsoft Visual Studio Community Edition. It's free. I have 2019 on one of my machines, 2017 on one of my other machines. I'd say, whatever. I guess I would say I would say put 2019 on there, because if you give me something it'll probably be fine. I wouldn't worry about it. Either one would probably be great. I'll figure it all out. And you can have, if you have 2017 and you want 2019, you can have side-by-side install. So just make sure you have Visual Studio Community Edition. There is a very expensive textbook that is recommended. However, you don't really need it. I will say that. It's a nice to have, but is it as far as the content in it, you could probably just find something less expensive, on Amazon, or find something used. And all the real documentation is up in MSDN anyway. Microsoft is the keeper of all the documentation. Deedle and Deedle, just the authors of this book, just distill it for you. But there are plenty of online resources, and we live in the era of Google anyway. So if you have an employer paying for this book for you, sure, go for it, right? If you're a poor, starving college student, and working 3 jobs then the cost of this book is equivalent to a whole lot of ramen noodles, and I'd say, maybe you want to take a pass. So that's all I have to say about the war in Vietnam with respect to our textbook. In-class activities. Normally, I'm very big on let's all walk through an activity as a group, and we all reach the finish line. And even if you get stuck, I'll help you out and kind of guide you to the end. That's what we're going to do in this class. I've videoed all the activities. The resources will be online. You just need to follow along with the videos, put the activities together, and submit them. There's no tricks, there's no gotchas, there's no anything like that. So that class participation point is weighted heavily in this class as well. There will just be activities here. We're going to make this, and here's the videos, and here's everything you need. If for some reason it blows up, just email me your project. I will sort it out for you and maybe mark it up, send you feedback, or post a video on how to fix it. So there'll be 12 of these, and this is kind of to make sure that there's we're working we're delivering something almost every week, just as we would in a regular 16-week class. There will be 4 homework assignments. I'll post 5. You only have to do 4. And those will be like, here's a list of questions, answer 3 out of 5, something like that, and put them all in one solution, zip it up, and email it to me through Blackboard, or send it to me through Blackboard. So that's how homework's going to go. There'll be 4 out of 5. There will be 2 projects. This takes the place of a final and a midterm. So we'll have a midterm project and a final project, and I will post those. Plenty of time for you to work on them. And again, if you get stuck, email me and I will be happy to help you, right? I did not become a teacher, so so at the end of the semester I could look back on all the trail of bodies and the broken dreams behind me, right? I really want people to get something out of this and feel like their time in this class was well spent, and they walked out really as better programmers, better positioned to get a job that they want. So here's kind of a breakdown of that, although actually I don't think this line's up. Well, I guess it does. Well, yeah, see, here we go. There we go. Okay, 60, 60, and 20. That looks a lot better. So that's the breakdown. And COD's grading scale is the usual. It's based, it's just letter grades. There's no pluses or minuses. The late policy, the official late policy of COD, or most COD professors, is if it's late, if it's a second late, I mark it down a letter grade. The reality of the situation is that I like grading homework as much as you like doing homework. And if you turned it in by the time I got around to grading it, it's not late. So, and if it's late after that, at some point I just kind of close the assignment and submissions are disabled. So that's kind of how it works. It's like kind of, you can submit it and there's a grace period, but after that I usually disable the assignment so you can't turn it in. If you want to withdraw, make sure you withdraw before November 15th. Otherwise, bad things apparently happen, and this thing is stuck on your transcript, and you get a W, which I don't know. Maybe it's not such a big deal. But withdraw before the November 15th so it doesn't show up on your transcript. If you have issues related to me, or issues related to special ed, just email me and we'll work it out. Because of the extent to which I help people and I want people to do well, this has really never become an issue. But obviously, I want to make sure that if you have issues, just talk to me and we'll work it out. There's never been any problems. Academic integrity. Okay, so I think we all know what cheating is, and I shouldn't really have to say that the school has a policy about cheating. However, I have to say that we have a policy on cheating. Please do not cheat. And on the next slide, I will tell you examples of things that are considered cheating. If you turn something in and it's like obviously cheating, I will give you a 0. And I also reserve the right to lower your final letter grade by 1 and report you to the cheating hotline, as you know, COD is trying to encourages teachers to do. Also, it just undermines the whole integrity of the class, and it just makes me sad and makes me question, why do I do this when people cheat? Anyway, so let's not go there. Let's just also, you don't get anything out of the class if you cheat, right? And so why are you here in the first place? Things that COD considers to be cheating: turning in somebody else's work, submitting work done by somebody else in a previous semester or from some online repository. I'm looking at Chegg and Course Hero. I'm looking at you guys. Copying and pasting answers from websites, paying someone in a foreign country to do your work for you. And like, notice that the asterisk there. Seriously, I'm not making this up. This actually happened, right? Like, duh. Like I'm not, like, you know, I'm not dumb, right? So, just don't do it. Just don't do this. Okay, so also there's a schedule on the syllabus. This is probably a lie, although at this point it's probably reasonably accurate. I tend to have ideas, they pop into my head and say, oh, no, we're going to do it this way. We'll just change it up a little bit. So that drives people crazy sometimes, because they say, well, the schedule says this, but it's like, I have to have a schedule in the syllabus, but depending on how things are going, or what new ideas or what fun things pop up, you know, we may change that. Or people say, oh, I really want more link. Great, we'll do more link. I would like a lot of OOP. Great, we'll do a lot of object-oriented programming. So I try to make it flexible as well. There will be this slide should have been back a few, but there is a PDF of the textbook online, so you don't actually need it. So you'll have all the resources you need. When you are submitting files, please just zip files only. No RARs, tarballs, stuff at expander files from some Mac in the 1990s. I just want to be able to right-click, extract to folder, and go in there, verify that it runs. If it doesn't run, I look at the code to see the state of it and how far was this thing along and what kind of partial credit needs to be awarded. So please, no RARs or anything weird. I just zip files only. And also zip up the entire solution. If you just send me an executable or you just send me a file or part of a project, I can't run that. So don't do that. Just zip up the entire solution and post it through Blackboard, and everything is great. And that's it. So in the next video, what I'll show us all how to do is go into Blackboard. We'll take a tour of the resource and what's in there. And then you'll see, oh, okay, yeah, this all makes sense. Everything that I need is up there. There's no reason to panic. And even though this is an online class, and you know, and online classes make everybody sad because you don't have somewhere to go and people to see, that hopefully you'll get something out of it. And if you have any questions, you know, email me back at whatever that email address was real early on, writE761@cod.edu. There we go, writE761@cod.edu. And I'll be happy to address any questions or concerns you have.